Folks, good morning and welcome to FYI. I'm pleased to have with me this morning my co-host Tabitha Bravo Haley, and I'm blaming Tabitha this morning for the lateness. The newcomers are always late.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sharon. I will take the blame, no problem. I have
Check,
no
check, check it to your chest.
anything to help you feel better in this. That's
Folks, good morning. Do let us know if you're hearing us clearly. That's very important for us. It wasn't a morning without its challenges. Do let us know if you're hearing us clearly, seeing us reasonably well. Good morning, guys, and we're gonna have a slow morning. I'd love to have some coffee if anybody listening. Some warm coffee. Tabitha, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I woke up earlier than I expected, given the way I went to bed last night. I was very tired. But I'm good, ready for everything that the day holds, and I'm hoping that the rest of us here with are also ready for whatever the day holds. Because sometimes we
Correct.
we start and then we don't know what comes upon us, but we still have to power through. So, good morning to everybody, and let's roll.
And Tabby, those are the days we've been having. We've been having some days you don't know what to expect. If you get back home, count yourself lucky. If you make it back home and you're in 6 feet all, we say here, smelling daisy by the road, you're good to go because it's so much happening.
And if
So
you
much.
if you make it back to a home, because with all these fires, something you make it back and there's no home there for you. So it's
Well,
that's another story. But it
that's another
continues.
story, right?
But
There. Tabby,
we
do you
just have to
often
thank
feel?
God.
Do you often feel like something is missing if you don't have your glasses on? I mean, something is missing. I've started wearing back my glasses recently, and
Yes,
I always have this sense something is missing. I feel
I
half
have not
there.
worn mine for a while, so that feeling has faded. But I understand what you're speaking about.
That's how I feel this morning. Something is missing. Siobhan, good to see you guys there. When I was listening back to the program yesterday, doing your own little quality control and stuff, I find the audio was a little something, but guys, we're gonna work in it. We're gonna work in the audio. I find the audio was a little not as crisp as it should be, and so we're working on that. We see Anthony Jarvis is here, and Mark and Debbie, Jehu. Is that your real name, Jehu? Jehu. Tabitha, I don't know. You lecture and so on. Is that the right function? Jehu, Jehu. We used to have some simple names like Tabby, like Charm and so on, Tab, and now very complex.
I can't answer that, Sharon. If that is the
Very
person's name, what
Jehu.
would you like us to do about it?
It's a nice name, Jehu. 4 letters, but quite unique.
Probably it's Jehu. You said probably Jehu.
Yeah, Jehu.
Probably Jehu.
And if it's French or something, the J might be silent. EU.
Ehu. Ehu.
Jehu says yes. It's the right name. We're just finding somebody to pick on this morning. Camille Cox, I see you there. Camille is one of our hardworking counselors in Region 6. Is that in the script or did I read wrong? It could be hardly working for all I know.
Good morning to you, Camille.
Camille, I'm just
She's
teasing.
hard
Camille,
working.
we're just starting light because we can get into some heavy stuff just now. If you got your napkins and so on, bring them close.
Then we have Myrna Stoby watching from Port Kaituma. Good morning to you.
Morning, how are you doing? From PK. I haven't been a little bit. Supposed to be back there shortly, Morna. Look out for me. Listen for where the noise coming from. Listen for the bell ringing. But Tabitha, it's so good to have you on. I feel less stressed in a way. Like it takes some of the pressure off right away. Rastaman is here. Kyle Bino is here. Folks, don't even say hello to you. It's like typical Guyanese. They wake up in a house, they don't even say good morning to you, nothing. Bless somebody calling the phone. Hi, how are you doing? God bless you. And you wake up, you get none of that. Bless God. Look at them here now. Good morning. They're telling each other. Ingrid telling Gwyneth morning. Debbie telling Kyle morning. It's like I short. Like I'm not even here. It's like we're not even here.
Morning. You have to understand.
Good to see you, Tabby. Love having you back. Okay, you can see. It's like we're not even here. It's like I'm short at 6'2", 6'3". You know? And John, good morning. You know? Usually, I don't know if this ever happened to you. When I was younger, you go to work and you're telling somebody what happened last night, but I say, well, good morning to you too.
I know.
Oh, yeah, you're a big person. Like you wake up in the same bed.
Yes, I remember those statements.
Once you know the whole story. Like you wake up in the same bed. I don't know where we ever got that from. You see, people are so accustomed to you wake up in the same bed, you don't say morning.
You just start a conversation just so.
You suck your teeth.
Sharon, you need some therapy.
You still here?
Are you
okay? Some teeth. You still here? Chinese wake up different, you know. You still here?
I think Sharon needs some therapy. Let's help Sharon on this.
Yeah. We wake up differently, right? I got a morning and I didn't respond quick enough. My wife said, "Look, you don't watch me, sir." Like these tongue people. These tongue people don't know about nothing. So watch me, sir. Waiting. Then I catch myself, you know. I was in work mode. And she people are watching me, sir, like I short.
You have to know your priorities, what comes first.
I'm fearing now the other folks joining us. We're starting late this morning because so a lot of stuff happening, folks. A lot of stuff happening. Tabitha, how are you doing at your end? How did you say? Did you get a good morning? Don't lie to me.
I will not comment on that this morning.
As a little cousin of mine is I want the real truth.
No, honestly, no, I didn't get a good morning as yet. But
nothing's yet. Good. And you said you started the morning very early, so some people making the second turn while we up and running.
I'm still waiting.
Everybody here. Kyle, I hope you tell, you hope you said good morning when you wake up. You know, Marlon, I hope you said good morning too, and Debbie and Isabella, Gary Wong, and so on. I hope you said good morning. You know, and I know some of you, yet single, right? Some of you are together, but you're single. That's another story. If nobody didn't tell you good morning yet, good morning. Good morning, guys. Together but single. Harry Wong, Andron, Isabella Butters, Marlon Thomas, Kyle Bino, Gwen Anderson, Penel Innes, Marcia Jackman Jolly, Elise Williams. I like lovely names like this. Yeah, when you have names like these, Elise, you gotta be rich, That's rich people. Elise, Shauna, and all the other folks. Takes a chance. I'm wondering if it's neon, as in the color.
Yes, I just neon.
Help me, Tabby.
I think that's a neon.
It's neon.
Yes, neon would be NY. It's NE, so it's Neon Hardy.
I'm always conflicted. Lynn Finance, good to have Lynn on the live. Folks, let's get right to it. I don't know if Tabby's going to lead us off or she's looking to me. I don't know what's happening this morning.
I'm looking to you, sir. You start off this morning.
You're looking to me. Folks, welcome wherever you're joining us from this morning. It's that kind of morning. Again, for us, we started today with the first 15 things we think you ought to know. You ought to know. Barry Crawford, we see you there. Ian, I'm always torn to, is it Ian or Ian? Ian.
Yes.
Ian, Ras, Debbie, Edward, and all the other folks joining us. The first 15 things we think you all know about as we start the morning. Folks, 3 young, very young ladies drowned overnight. They tell us at a place called Masara in the Rupununi. They went to swim, and these reports keep coming in and adding to it. The latest we've heard is that they went swimming unknown to the parents who were at a village meeting. Thomas, I don't want to wake up in this family. I don't want to wake up in this community this morning. I don't want to be the people who had to pull 3 dead bodies, lifeless bodies out of that pond there. Tabitha?
Yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. And first of all, condolences to the family and to the community because, it will be the entire community mourning the loss of those little lives. I don't know how to respond when you hear things like this. It's so sad. I just pray that God gives them the strength to get through this particular period. The loss of one life is always heart rending, but now you have three that you have to deal with at one time. And three children. So I just pray that God gives them the strength to get through this particular period, so that they can come out on the other end, because it would be a rough period for them.
It is. And folks, as we said, this happened yesterday, and the information is coming in. One of the things we heard out of Starbuck News, for instance, is that the pond that they were swimming in is a relatively shallow pond ordinarily, but it was recently dug to between 14 and 15 feet of water. So if you're going in there and you're accustomed to it being shallow and you could walk across and walk in to a fair length, you're not expecting that. And these three young women, very, very young, age, I think between 6 and 9, they're not prepared for that. Age 5, 6, and 8, respectively. This is Michelle, Nia, and their sisters. And then you have Alicia, who is the cousin. And I don't know, quite interestingly, last night, the theme of our program was Guyana Cross since August 2nd, 2020. A number of things, and we were just wading through road accidents, industrial accidents, and then, late last evening, we saw this breaking on the wires, as they say, these two sisters and a cousin. Tabby, what's happening in this country of ours? What's happening,
I am trying to figure out if it is that the pond was dug, if the community was not alerted to the changes. Because if these girls are accustomed to a pond that they could walk across, and some change happened for whatever reason, was it communicated to the residents that this change is happening? Because obviously it wasn't, because the little ones would have known if there was a change, and their parents would have told them, you can't go in the pond anymore because it's now too deep for you to play in. So I'm wondering where the system broke down, and whatever happened, whatever caused them to have to dig. Why it is that information wasn't given to the community, so the community could put all systems in place to protect themselves and protect their children. So that
in terms of adequate signage and so on, we don't believe in all them things, We something just fancy things, high-fluting stuff. We opened a new access road here, close to where you are, Chavez. See, there's one coming much closer to you there. But the road hardly had any signage. You open a whole road with not one sign, no traffic lights on it, and a lot of intersections. But this is the kind of country that we live in. You dig a pool, a pond, 14, 15 feet deep. You don't put up any signage or anything like that. It's just the system that keeps failing our kids all the time. I saw somebody said, "Man, you don't have any water." Cito said, "Man, you don't have any water." And then we remember the 20 there at Madia.
I don't know. I really don't. It's like last night I was coming home, and the truck on the road, coming from the same, I guess, the roads that they're doing at the back by us, and it was blazing down the road as if he alone was on the highway. I think there's something wrong with our mindset. We're not, as I was saying yesterday, we're not understanding that it's more than just what I want in any given moment. What I am doing or what I may want to do, how would it impact somebody else, and what do I put in place to ensure that whatever I'm doing does not negatively impact somebody who may come into contact with me or come into contact with what it is that I am trying to accomplish. And so because we don't have that thinking, we just do whatever we want, however we want, and then whatever negatives happen, well, too bad. I needed to get what I needed to get done. And so I think we need a whole shift in our culture as it relates to how it is we treat the people in our society, our neighbors, the members of this country. Because from the top down, it's like it's all about me, it's all about I, and everything else go to hell. So whatever happens, happens. And I think at every level we're seeing that played out. Whether it is the pond there in the Rupununi, or it's how the truck drivers are on the roadway, or whether or not they build big roads and they put no traffic lights, and so persons have to figure out how they're crossing a big highway like that new one that is linking Mandela all the way to Diamond. And so it's a thinking that I think we need to shift, and I'm not sure if that can happen overnight, but we need to start, because it will only get worse.
Correct. And Sabbath News overnight, if you had a chance to read the editorial, folks who are watching us, kind of broke my heart a little bit, because I guess in a sense, Sabbath News just gave up. They again, we're talking about what's happening on our road and waterways, and the editorial emerging epidemic. I mean, we've been talking here perennially about these issues: carnage on our roads and waterways, violence against our women and girls, the amount of fires we have as a country, among the other vices and maladies that we suffer from as a nation. Here is Sabbath News right here. The blatant disregard for the highway code, the lack of road courtesy have been the subject of countless letters to the editor and several editions of our column over the past few years. The current state of affairs can be summarized as approaching a crisis point, as road carnage is becoming virtually a daily occurrence in our society. That's the first paragraph from Sabbath News editorial. Just in case we got some folks who watch us, I know members of the government watch us all the time, who think we're a little sensational, right? And here's how this editorial ends today. Every time we venture out, this is the resignation to me of Sabbath News. Every time we venture out onto the roads now, we are participating in Russian roulette. Ultimately, it seems we are heading nowhere, and very fast. Decent and law-abiding citizens will just have to continue to pull aside and let the horn blowing, the speeding minibus drivers, the sand truck drivers, and the motorcyclists have the roads. That's resignation to me. And I think they're right, like I'm fed up too. So when I go there, like driving Miss Daisy, right? I want pedal, not too much in the car, but not too much in the middle. And then as soon as they honk, I say, I do so often pull over, and those blowing behind you, I get them the way, right? I is the one rebel sing about. I step aside and let the little ones pass.
Yeah, it's really rough. It is really rough. I'm actually now reading it, and there's a part that I think sticks out to me. It says what it says here. We now appear to be confronting an ingrained cultural mentality, which is what I was just saying, which, for the want of a better term, can best be labeled as the "I am more important than you, get out of my way." The volatile cocktail of disrespectful to fellow road users and the law, crass and ignorant behavior is purposefully demonstrated on a daily basis by the core group of minibus drivers, sand truck drivers, and motorbike riders. And that is exactly what I was saying. I didn't read it before now, is that there's something wrong with us in our minds, and we have to change it. I'm not sure how that will happen if we don't recognize it as an issue.
We're in a bad way. Our thoughts and prayers go out to this family and this community there in Masara, in the hinterland. And if you know, the hinterland is so peace-loving, away from all the hustle and bustle of this city life that we got here, and the politics and everything else. So it's hard when somebody dies in a community like that. It is hard. And for one day, 3 young people from one family die like that. That has to be unbearable. But that being said, folks, we're following also some of the other developments we've had. We hear the vice president saying, all the Venezuelans come here are Guyanese, man. 90% of them, which is a turn of events from the fact that he says that, 90% were just refugees fleeing hunger and starvation and political turmoil in Venezuela. And, this one really captivated us recently. A Venezuelan, they said, beat up and robbed his landlord, beat up and robbed the landlord. I mean, the video of this is horrific. To see how this man was prevailed upon in what looks like an office, and really roughed up. And now the police are looking for this gentleman here. Folks, take a look at some of what we saw, and we posted this early on in our social media channels. Take a look at some of what we saw. Yeah. Yeah. Tabby, you saw that?
Yeah,
We're getting some feedback somewhere. Go ahead. Sorry.
yes, yes, I did see the video. What?
Horrific.
Yeah, so
Horrific. Horrific. Horrific.
I don't want to labor on the point of the Venezuelan aspect because I don't want people to think that all Venezuelans that are in Guyana would behave in that particular manner. But I still think that systems need to be put in place, as we keep saying something is wrong with how we deal with. I remember even asking in Parliament about whether or not the the minister knows who is coming across, who these people are, what are their backgrounds, so you know who you need to keep an eye on once they're in country. And so they seem that they have no clue who these individuals are that are coming. Yes, they're coming. Yes, they may or may not get temporary identification cards. They may end up as Guyanese with ID cards. We will see where that goes. But the question that I asked in Parliament is whether or not they are aware of the individuals coming across the border, their backgrounds, whether they have maybe military background or other backgrounds that you know that you should say to you that you need to keep an eye on these individuals.
Yeah.
And what we see playing out here is an individual who obviously has some issues and needs the attention of the law. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they find him very quickly and help him to understand that this is not acceptable. It's really hard to watch, and I really hope that the person that was assaulted, that he gets all the medical attention that is needed, and that he can come back from this and there's no permanent injury from that assault. But it's a case where in this country, I think the assaults are going up on so many different fronts. But I'm really hoping that the minister and those who are dealing with the Guyana police force and so recognize and dealing with persons coming in, immigration and all that, recognize that there may be a need to follow through on those persons who they may be giving ID cards to and all of other identification to figure out who exactly are these people that are coming into our country and who we may need to keep extra eyes on, so that when things like this happen, they either shouldn't happen, or when they do happen, you know where to locate them at all times.
Correct. And it's one of the reasons why we've asked for a very structured approach. But again, it's an administration that don't like to structure, don't like too much structure. All they're seeing is political ends to this. political ends. You know, a lot of Guyanese are migrating. They can't take this thing anymore. We got oil now, and you're still telling me wait till 2037 or something like that to get our share. The prime people are reaching out. And so you got to now pad the list and all manner of mechanisms that we're seeing. But this is something else. It makes you think twice. You could imagine the trauma this landlord is going to be in for a long time. When you hear somebody coming up the step, you know what's happening. The man got to go down, put camera. I think I saw a screen in his office. There were some cameras, right? But if this is a tenant of yours, you ain't suspecting nothing.
You're like, yeah, exactly.
A tenant coming up the step there, right? And look at this thing here is something else. It's something else. And, we've been warned about this. When the advent of oil comes and oil is here with us, and for a little while, all manner of things come. And you can't keep operating the very same way you used to. You got to elevate it. You got to evolve with the process. You got to use that oil money to get a couple of things right. And the citizen security is one of those things. You got a huge influx of Venezuelans coming, and you don't have anything. And it could have been Surinamese, it could have been anybody else. You don't have any system in place. When I was in Region 9 quite recently, the Waraus who are there, given a huge piece of land to set up a little base, a little village there. You can't get land in this country as easy. But that being said, when we spoke with them, no structure in place. They're there in Latam and other places. You see them begging, scavenging through the garbage and so on, looking for food and all of that. All of that is what we take on. But we want nice name, and so we don't have the systems in place to deal with what we got. We taking off. Maybe we got to do what we got to do to help our brothers and our neighbors. But a structure has to be in place, and we have the money now to do it. And these are some of the problems that we face, right? But you got a police force who police shooting at each other. How are you going to solve a problem like that? Right? Police impersonating each other. How are you going to solve a problem like that? Right? This country is in such a turmoil, and if them want to go there and pretend as though everything is all well and good, it is not. It is not. And this is just symptomatic of a failure of the system that we see in place. Nobody respect law and order. You hear police coming in from some other places, huh? You better pull in line. My aunt them often talk about the police patrol up north in the US of A. When you're the highway, you better say circumspect. I mean, some people are going to deviate, and the law going to deal with them. But for large measure, right, when you see a police car pull out, you better shape up. Right? But you're no police from thief now in this country. And the criminal elements seem to be taking their cue from that, Tabby.
You are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The fact of the matter is that once the systems are not in place, and once people feel that they can either buy themselves out of the system, buy themselves from being held accountable, then everybody feels it's free to do, that they're free to do whatever they want, to get whatever they want, however they want in society. And so once there is no law and order, once there's no one looking after the rule of law and ensure that they are accountable to the rule of law in the country from the top right down, then it's free for all. And so everybody feels that they can get away with things at all levels. One, the system has to be fixed. But we want a society, well, not we, I don't, but those that are in charge want a society where they too can get away with things. And so once you want to get away with things, then your interest is not in ensuring that there's a system in place that holds everybody accountable, because you don't want to be held accountable. And so once you have that in place and everybody then recognizes it, and then this is what we have. And it will only get worse unless as a society we recognize that this is not the way to go. It cannot be that we have all this oil well and all the we have some people getting a lot of money under all sorts of circumstances, and the rest of us are not thriving the way that we should. And then on top of that, there's no proper security to ensure that, that we can at least go to bed and feel safe at night, that we could be working, doing an honest job, and not, somebody doesn't come in and just, end our lives, that our children can't go to the pond where they're accustomed to walking through. And then all of a sudden it's 14 feet instead, and because there's no system in place. And so as a society, we have to recognize that what currently stands as governance is not working for the society, and we need something better.
Yeah, yeah. You see the man digging the pond just aiming to make a bread. You see? Make a bread quick and gone. And that happened to the contractor, the man who gave you the contract and all that. You don't care about the community, right? That's not part of the ecosystem and you're thinking, and so you do what you got to do, you know? But that being said, we got to put so many systems in place. And, you know, this government is not up to the task. They should do the right thing. And I know a couple of people who could take on this job here. Talking about that, we saw recently the Attorney General, Anil Nandlal, almost begging at this IPU conference happening in Switzerland, I think it is. Our speaker here, Mansour, I think he's the speaker of the IPA. This is International Parliamentary Union. Parliaments in the many of the parliaments of the world come together to form this parliamentary union, and they're having a meeting in Switzerland currently. Anil Nandlal is there, and Mansour Nadir tried to pilot a motion condemning what the Venezuelans are doing with this in relation to our territorial border issue, but the motion failed to pass. And now we see the Attorney General is saying that the international community should join in condemning the actions of Venezuela, which they are saying are undemocratic and going against international treaties, among other things. Now, if you listen to some of what came out of the United Nations Human Rights Committee sitting last week, we got government here that needs some condemnation. That's not to excuse what the mad dog of Latin America, Maduro, doing with the border. But last week, it wasn't last week, I saw Irfan giving him chain and gold ring and rum and all of that as gifts. And yesterday, the man passing laws to annex Essequibo and all of that. So I don't know. Their foreign policy a little mix up to me. Tabby, you more versed in these issues.
I am not a foreign policy expert by any stretch of the imagination, but my understanding is that if you're bringing emotion to the floor, you would have done your groundwork before. You would have you should have spoken to the countries that are part of the IPU. Get a sense of where they are on the matter. Try to get them to understand where you stand on the issue. Figure out what may be their hesitation with the motion as it stands. Work through whether it might be the wording of the motion to see whether or not you can compromise here and there to see that you can get the support of the countries. And so you don't end up where you started a motion or you proposed a motion and then it doesn't pass, because it does not look good for you. And so I am trying to understand what they put in place before it got to this level where they have a motion on the floor that does not pass at the level of the IPU. What work did they put in before? Did they get a sense of where countries are before this particular meeting to get a sense and determine whether or not they need to do some more work before they bring such a motion to the floor? I really don't understand the way in which they work, how it is they process things, how it is they determine that this is the best time to do what it is that they're trying to get done. And also the wording. Did they get a sense of the countries that are part of the IPU, whether or not, yes, we are a democratic society, at least we're supposed to be here in Guyana, but there are other places that, they may not be so versed. And so you have to figure out the right approach to get persons on your side. And I don't think they did that. And that is where we see the end result.
Yeah, I have my challenges with a man like Utan helming this ministry. And the fact that he might not even be calling the shots, and that might not be such a bad thing for us at all, where foreign policy is concerned. Who calling the shots? Who's setting up these plays? Did the speaker went off on a frolic of his own? Perhaps the delegates of the IPA conference didn't find it was urgent, of public importance, and all of that may, Tabby, You're not afraid, Stabby. That's afraid to the speaker. It's not important. That's when he want to block a motion. It's not of public importance now. Maybe the people there found it to be the same. But this hobnobbing, I find they don't like the actual work. They just want the photo up of being in the room with Maduro. But Maduro seemed to have outmatched them, outflanked them every time.
Yeah.
Every time. By the time they were ready to form a coalition in the region against Maduro, he already had his feet sunk into Mia Motley and Raul Gonzalez and Rowley with oil deals and different things, and left us almost without any partners. And now we gone to this international forum, this international meeting of parliamentarians, and trying to pull this stunt. And the people say, no, we're not here yet. We're not there yet.
I hope they learn from it, because they don't seem to be able to learn from
you think they learned, Tabby? They had 23 years before this iteration of the government, and they're making all the same mistakes. You think they learn anything?
One can only hope.
They're taking learning. They're taking learning. You see, they're not taking learning. Look, I hear telling you about all this stuff here, and they got this person here. Let me see if I find the name here. Talking about beautiful smiles. You know, some people real thingish, in this program here, Tabby. Beautiful smiles, right? People come to these programs. So all kind of reasons. I barely spot that one. Beauty to distract me, right? The devil is really sense of people, Beautiful smile is all I see. Yeah, one thing we be saying here. Beautiful smile. But that being said, I wish them the best. After we run Venezuela, they've made it impossible for the opposition candidate, I think is Machado, to run. And they've recently nominated a new person to fill that void there. And, she's recently registered to run as their stand-in candidate. I don't know how well the opposition is going to do, but I hope that this lady brings something to the table, because the worst thing to have happened is to win when they didn't expect to win, is Trump all over again. And so they have this stand-in candidate here. They said, and they've managed to file the correct papers because they were trying to beat a deadline. Right? They were trying to beat a deadline. And this is just one of the things we're following out of Venezuela. But overnight, too, there's been some dust-up between Venezuela and Brazil, right? Tabby, you want to talk to us about that? You want to talk to us about that?
I think a couple of things is going on with Brazil. We know what the past president was known for. The president that just Bolsonaro, that he was one that's in the Hungarian embassy, right? We know that what he was known for, and what he was doing on the international stage. And I think Brazil is trying to reassert itself as one of, the leading countries in the region. And so it's making a stand where this is where the issue of democracy is concerned, and also with Venezuela and Guyana, how they stand on this particular matter. I am happy to hear him come out so forcefully and make those statements. But I don't think Venezuela is quite happy right now. But I think it is at least in our interest that he makes such statement at this particular point, because we need our neighbors in support of us at this particular time.
Yep. While we lost 5 in the region, we may have gained 1 here in Brazil. But we have to watch this, because we're not in control of this narrative. We are not in control. Events are happening in spite of us. The candidate that stepped down in Venezuela is Maria Machado, and this new candidate here is Edmundo Gonzalez. Edmundo, I've never heard of. Edmundo, a former ambassador. And so we're watching that, Mia Motley tried to hammer out this deal on behalf of the UN or some bunch of people for credible elections in Venezuela. This is wishful thinking here. But best of wishes to Edmundo Gonzalez. and the opposition there in Venezuela, they're gonna need a lot of help moving forward. A lot of help.
A lot of help.
Yeah. So this is another issue that we're following too. The French said they're going to be opening an embassy in Guyana. These things are neither here nor there, right? Neither here nor there, because what we know is that when we see all of these countries suddenly pouring in the embassy and visa free and all of that, they're wondering what's in it for them and how much of this largesse out there in the EEZ is for them. That's what they're concerned about. How do we get, because these countries want some things for their people. Irfan Ali and Jagdio and Anil and Ashni, they're on the same thinking. They want for themselves. They're not thinking about Guyanese. Okay. Right? So we need a here nor there on this. Tabi, what are your thoughts?
I read the article. It's a very short article, but we always welcome any new embassy, any new country that wants to increase its alliance with Guyana, and so on that level, we welcome France to Guyana, and I'm guessing this will want to be one of the major embassies from countries from the EU that will be in Guyana now. But on the other side, based on what you said, I think where we fail is always in our understanding of the reason why they are here and how we approach that relationship. Anyone looking at France and how France deals with persons or countries that are in the South, we know where their goals are and what their interests are. And so we cannot pretend that France is really just come because they love Guyana and they love the Guyanese people and they want the best for us. Everybody has their own agenda, which we have to rightfully understand. It's like when they keep bringing up the catfish situation and the license situation with Suriname, where we seem to keep giving and getting absolutely nothing in return because we're so excited to say we have formed some alliance with a country. We got the whatever the name of the goats between Barbados and
the black belly,
and what have we gotten in return? So we seem to keep putting ourselves in positions where we're giving a whole lot, getting very little in return, and we keep smiling as if we're doing a good job, and we're not. Our foreign policy has not been doing a very good job in protecting the interest of the country. They may be protecting the interest of themselves. And so I think we need to do better when it is that we come out and say, well, another country is interested in having some sort of economic or political ties with us. What does that look like for Guyanese, and how do Guyanese benefit from those alliances?
Correct. To get a little land in this country, you got to be a black belly sheep. Land will come your way. So that's one of the things we're following, folks, the advent of this French embassy locally. And I don't want to knock the French at all, because we can learn a thing or two from the French. I mean, that's one of the places on my bucket list. Gotta visit. Folks, one of the other issues we're following this morning, this was quite interesting to me personally when I read it. Eccles Ramberg's NDC embarking on transformative journey. It's special to me because about a week ago, if not two, if not three, maybe longer, everybody went down there and abused out all of them. This is an NDC that was won by the PPP, and I thought they only had problems. I thought it was only City Hall that is not working. But the people seem to have gone to sleep since the local government election finished. So Ali had to leave all of these opening embassies and cutting ribbons and kissing babies, things that he's good at. He leaves the hard stuff to Jagdio, and he went down there personally, abused him out. He said, "You're making me look bad. You're putting me to shame." Right? And now they just wake up and say they are embarking on a transformative journey. It's funny. It's funny to me. It's funny to me. I'm happy because it's going to redound to the benefit of all of our people. When the Ramsburg NDC, among other places, pick up the pace a little bit and start doing what they got to do, right? But like you got to get a good cuss out in this country. Got to get a good abuse out. Ramsburg.
I'm reading this letter, and I think it's a response. I think they decided they needed to wake up after the president visited, and they needed to show that they heard what he said and they're now acting accordingly, which is,
You got to
anchored by
follow
the
up and watch them,
principles
though.
of the,
You got to follow up and watch them, because I think the opposite usually happens when he visits. People go more to sleep, because we remember Mara. The president passed, he finally passed 50 instructions when he went to Mara. 2 years later, he gone back. 51 and done. 51, 53 weren't completed. So like when he passed, true people go to sleep more. Right? So we're hoping for the best, but it was quite interesting to see Ramsburg, Eccles, NDC suddenly jump up and say, transformative journey that they're on. I want the best for them. I want the best.
I hope it's actually transformative.
Yeah. Hoping the same here, folks. Look at us, we're following. Tabby, you've heard about this outbreak of chicken pox at Lusignan. I mean, there's rare chickens there. How people got chicken pox there. How did chicken pox enter? I ain't hearing them talking about that. Are they seeing any other occurrences locally? Are they seeing some spikes other places? 50, very concentrated area there at Lusignan. 53 persons, I think they said, are being treated expeditiously. But this is the thing. Unless you get a leak someplace, you hear from these guys and you never get a warning, you never get advisory. This country could be cooking in heat. You'd never hear, make sure you hydrate, stay indoors if you can. You'd never see an advisory. Then tell you, take no precaution. I wonder if they wanted Pagua to pass. They want to interfere with the festival too much. And now you're hearing suddenly, Pagua's gone, 53.
Yeah, and I think once we see this, there are a number of issues here, Sharon, and you rightfully said whether or not there's spikes in the country somewhere that we're not hearing about. Because is it isolated to the prison? If somebody went into the prison and infected other prisoners, then that means somebody outside may have had it as well. And so we have to really, and that's the thing with the Ministry of Health, as you said rightfully, is that they really do not let the people know when there's an outbreak, if there's an upsurge, if something is new in society, or that we should be aware of to protect ourselves.
It's a secret.
You guys continue living. Don't let anything stop us or stop you from doing whatever. If you get sick, we will deal with it then. But their preventative measures are missing. And in health, that is very bad, because that is where you normally hear a lot of health workers deal with prevention. They always say prevention is better than cure. That comes from the health system. So when you have a health minister that always goes very numb, when it is a case that there's something going on in society, then you hear afterwards, oh yes, they had this, but we're dealing with it now, and we have it under control. Then the society is not prepared to deal with it, and so I don't know. What I understand is chicken pox is from person to person. And so if it's in the prison, the likelihood that it's also outside the prison is high.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the things that we're watching this morning, folks. And the fact that this government, this good governance here leaves much to be desired. Much to be desired. Look at this here, folks. They're telling us that oil spill legislation on the cards. A lot of things on the cards in this country here. They tell us, we're going to have a robust legislative agenda, and Tabitha as a member of parliament, you know this, robust. The last time we met was in February with the budget. We meet back since, and we can meet again sometime between July and August for another supplementary budget. And then the next time we meet after that going to be December. Tabitha, you know this thing, good? For another supplemental. So when this oil spill legislation will come, I don't know. And as they're promising this, Sabi, a letter writer today is asking, whatever happened to the engineers bill, right? But before we get there, as we're on oil and gas, Bill Clinton is selling us, he was asked by Kaiser News about, Exxon and what they're doing here and so on. He said, make do with what you get and spend it wisely. He said, go borrow, and spend, baby, spend. Make do with what you have and spend wisely. Now, these boys here, Tabitha, your great-grandchildren gonna be indebted in this country. God forbid. Because of what these guys are doing. Make do with what you have and spend wisely.
I I read the article, and I think that I think he was trying to do two things, but we won't get to the other side of what he was trying to do. The reality is that we as a society recognize that what BP is interested in is trying to make itself look good on the international stage. And so they bring people in, they spend a lot of money on the roads. People can come say, oh, wow, there's a new bridge here. Oh, wow, you did the roundhouse at the seawalls. You can now sit outside and have a cocktail by the seawalls behind Pegasus. But the lives of our people have not gotten better. And I think, as I said yesterday, the majority of they know when they're being played. They know when people are trying to put on a mask and show that all is well. You think they don't get the rundown on what is happening in a country before they step foot in a country by their embassies and by persons who are there to do the groundwork before they come? They're very well aware of it. But the PVP, they have to show them a nice time and put on a good face and hope that whatever food they give them, whether it's the curry that Irfan decides to cook or the cooker, that somehow that would wipe away their thinking and their thoughts and everything else that is going wrong in our society. And so the statement made by Bill Clinton, I think, is where we need to be as a society, that you utilize what we have. We spend it wisely for not only the benefit of ourselves, but the benefit of our future generations. And we are not doing that. We are really not doing that. And when we look at the sectors and the failing of all the sectors, we know the money is not going where it's supposed to be. And even if they attempt to do so, they're doing such a poor job that it's not having the output that we want it to have for our people. So, as I always end, the people have to decide what they want.
Yeah. I know we can unpack so much about this Clinton visit, and he would know a couple of things about the economy and how to move it in the right direction. Because outside of Monica Lewinsky and so on, he had a fairly decent economic run under his 2 terms as president there in the U.S. Outside of Monica and some other fine things. Who was the other woman he had the runnings with? There was another woman there too. Outside of them and Hillary and so on. Economically, he didn't do too bad. So you might know what he's talking about. But what is the Dominican Republic, trying to accomplish here? They procure Bill Clinton for free, right? To come with them to the Irfan Ali government. I mean, they pull out a big gun here. They pull out a big gun here. Did they procure? Did they procure Bill Clinton, or was that the facade here, right? Was that the what do you call it? The fake here, right? What is happening here, right? A chamber didn't just bring Bill Clinton from the Clinton Global Initiative, right? It didn't just happen through the DR and say, oh, come, let me go down to Mayaro. Come, let me go down to Shibna Ryan Chandra Paul drive there. What's really at play here? Guys, don't people we're over here, We beg. But at least me, Tabitha still, right? Tabitha, what's going on? I mean, we could unpack this here. The many dimensions of this here.
I went back to August 2022. Where there was an article by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And let me read it. It's a very short article. It says, a statement. It says, His Excellency President Dr. Irfan Ali, who witnessed the signing yesterday, called it historic and said it is a precursor to solid, long-standing partnerships between the Dominican Republic and the government of Guyana. Several of the MOUs are within the oil and gas industry, including the establishment of an oil refinery, the establishment of a petrochemical plant, and a study for participation in Guyana's oil exploration block. The 2 countries also aim to enhance their agricultural potential, cooperation, and will team up to market both their sun and sand and nature-based tourism.
Wow.
And then Bill Clinton said he's trying to forge ties. Bill Clinton comes to say he's trying to forge ties and make sure the relationship between Dominican Republic and Guyana gets on, it's stronger. So something happened between 2023 and now where they seem to think that they're not moving forward the way they should. And so they had to bring in somebody. That is my assessment of the situation.
You know, to get somebody like Bill Clinton
It's
on
not
a
easy.
plane with you, that's going to run you easy. $500,000 US, $1 million US. A speaking engagement for Clinton could be 100, 200,000, $300,000. And you get him to fly all the way here on your behalf. Folks, we beg, but we got sense. We beg, but we got sense. This was our play. The DR know that they needed to seal this deal and they needed to pull an ace. They pull out Clinton. You see how Jack your face light up? I can imagine the DR people saying, money's worth. We gotta be money's worth. I never see Jack smile like that. Right? The last time I saw Jack smile like that is when he said the police were looking for Sue. You know? There was a smile of glee. Because he know he's talking nonsense. Right? The man was in ecstasy there. He was in his elements. And Clinton watching his you know?
I got you.
Right? Like it's you, they pay me all this money to come and see it. You see freak show. You see freak show. This here is something. And I can imagine that in the coming days and weeks, the commentators locally are going to unpack this here and all the significance. The DR knows that they needed to come to the head of the pack and they needed an ace. And they pulled the Clinton. Of all the countries, I wouldn't have naturally associated the Clinton Global Initiative with the DR, right? But they needed an ace here and they pulled it. They pulled it. I'm sure Jack must go back to your friends and get them wherever they want. Up to half the kingdom. Give them. Wherever black they want. If they want kite show for, sell it to them. Let them build a hotel. Both sides of the fall, one at the bottom. Wherever they want, get them.
Right? I think we have to look and see what comes out of it. We really have to pay keen attention as to what comes out of Bill Clinton being here, because they didn't bring him for nothing. And the fact that they have to pull such a card means that it's something that is not small.
That's a big card.
And so we have to figure out what exactly is the request and whether or not acquiescing to the request is in the best interest of the Guyanese people. So we wait to see what comes out of it.
The only bigger card that could have pulled Tabby was the Obama card. That's the bigger card that could have pulled. So a lot to be said here. I saw people even passing in the newspaper columns and so on. The sitting arrangement too, because he was placed right next to the big head one, big head, bald head one. You know, and I'm talking about me because I wasn't there. You know, put it right next to Jack. And people saying that was not by accident.
No, it wasn't.
Right? Because they know the power in the room. That's Abby. The people beg, but they got a little sense too. They know where the power in the room is. So they put it next to the power broker. And after that, we told, Jack will say, your fund, wherever they want. If Clinton want a piece of land on Carifesta to the Bell Hotel, give it wherever they want.
And the thing I hope Guyanese understand that even the sitting arrangements, when they have these meetings, it's not by chance. Everything is agreed upon before people get into the room. Where I'm sitting, who I'm sitting next to, who's on my left, who's on my right, who's in front of me, all of that is decided on before they get into that room. So you don't just go inside and pick a seat. You're told where you need to sit because you have an agenda and you have to ensure that everybody knows what it is that they're supposed to be doing and who it is they need to speak to about what. And so nothing about what happens is by chance. So you're right on target where that is concerned.
And the clowns like Hugh Jordan, Mark Phillips, not even in the room. I know somebody could publish a photograph. Say, Sherry, look in the corner there. look Hugh Jordan, Mark Phillips in the corner there in the room. But that being said, again, folks, there's so much you can unpack from these events as they're happening. And if this is what you're seeing, imagine what's happening behind the scenes. And we got a lot of work to do in this country. We got so many things to revisit, to check, to put a pin on. When we get in, we got to revisit so many of these deals to see what really went down here. And the begging, as you mentioned earlier, Tabby, for some standing in the international community and they're willing to pay high bucks for that. If Bill Clinton could run you up to $750,000 for just to bring him here, 1.5 million, 2 million US dollars, how much should Obama fetch? But these guys are willing to pay big bucks because it gives them credibility on the international stage. They're willing to carve up, huge tracts of land to give them whatever they want, but you can't even get a little 1.5 acre. They're watching you funny. They won't even grant you that, But these are the things that we are faced with in this country, and we got to keep fighting forward. Tabby, we wrapping up.
Yeah, there's so much, Sherrod, and that we can, speak on. But I think it all ends up in the same place. We're not in a good place. The persons that are governing, the people that are governing, are not governing in the best interest of our people. And we need to, keep our eyes on them to ensure that, we're always trying our best to hold them accountable to the decisions that they're making. But as we get closer to 2025, it becomes very clear what we need to do to ensure we don't have to deal with that after 2025. So Guyanese have decisions to make. They have decisions to make, and my only hope is that they make the right decision at the right time.
Yes, they do. Folks, we want to thank each and every one of you for spending this time here with us this morning. We've gone a little over that hour, well, a lot over the hour. But we did it nonetheless, so you can have back your time and you guys don't feel cheated. We don't want to do that to you all at all. I want to thank all of you for being here with us. P. Alicock, Abira, Karen, Linden, Beryl, Gail. I know y'all don't come for me, Tabby, Joy, Horace, Frank, and Winnell, and all the other folks. Edward Rooms, we see you there. Sandra Hanover, Spurley. Spurley, I can check your WhatsApp, girl. Thank you. I want gifts and surprises, checks in the mail, bills paid up. Thank you, Spurley. I can check the WhatsApp. Forbes Meduse, Emerson Holder. Good to have you. Sheila My Child is there. Child I know. And all the other folks. Tabby, feel free to call us some of your friends, It's you to come first, definitely.
I see Tessa Eastman. Of course, Neon Harding. Here is again Elizabeth Howard. Good morning to you. Hope you have a wonderful day as well. Forbes, good morning. This is Wanella Garnett. Thank you for the hearts. I hope you had a good day. I hope you enjoyed the program. And I wish all of you that joined us live and will join us throughout the day, I pray that as you go through your day, that you accomplish everything you set out to accomplish today, and that you don't let anything waver you from accomplishing those things. I'm a bit spiritual, so forgive me, but I think despite and in spite of all the challenges, we have the power within to overcome them and to rise above them and to get things done as a people. So keep pushing forward in spite of, keep moving forward, keep going towards your goals and your vision for yourself and for your family. And in the end, it will all work out for good.
Excellent. Tabby, thanks for that sign. Now, folks, we're going to see you guys on the next one. Stay safe and have a fantastic day.